For today's video, I thought I'd talk about something that I really care about. We do that a lot here, but this thing I care about, it hasn't gotten the right reception it needed, and it isn't going in the track I want it to. It's not what I'm expecting from this thing. And that is the DCEU, the DC Entertainment Universe. I love DC. I love their comic books. I think Rebirth was the smartest decision they've ever made. I think Batman has some great stories. I think their characters are more developed and more interesting than some that Marvel has. And when they announced they wanted to do a DC cinematic universe like Marvel, I was really excited. I'm a big fan of Aquaman. I'm a big fan of Wonder Woman. I'm a big fan of The Flash. I love the CW TV series. I love their animated movies. Justice League Dark was really well done, and that came out recently. But when it comes to their live-action movies, part of their giant cinematic universe, I can't help but feel disappointed. And I understand there are fans of the universe, and I get that. And if you like the movies, if you like Batman vs. Superman, if you like Suicide Squad, I am okay with that. But for me, as a fan of the comics, as somebody who knows these characters, I can't help but feel disappointed in the movie. In the movies, I think Man of Steel is still their best movie. I thought Suicide Squad was absolute garbage. And I can't stand Batman v Superman. And there are elements in all of them I like, but they aren't executed well. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about what my problem is, what I think the problem is, and what it is for me personally that I think is the issue with the DCEU. And this isn't an easy topic to talk about because you can get backlash. There's a huge fan support for these movies, and I understand that. And if you're a fan of these movies, I am okay with that. I get that people like them, and I am fine if you like them. Everyone has different tastes. And I'm not sitting here and saying Marvel is better and that they need to be more like Marvel. I'm saying there are certain things they have to get together in order to be good, in order to make the fans and critics and all audiences enjoy these movies more. So here's my problem. We've seen 3 movies now, but we don't have a plan of where these movies are going. And I know I just said you don't have to copy Marvel, but here's where Marvel got it right. And this is why I think the DCEU needs to follow a little in the MCU's direction. From day one, when Kevin Feige got that loan to start Marvel Studios, he had a plan. Starting in 2008 with Iron Man, going all the way until 2018, 10 years, he had a plan for what he wanted to do. He knew the stories he wanted to tell, the characters he wanted to be in them, and he didn't care what anybody said. He was going to make those movies. The studio was going to make those movies all the way leading up to Infinity War. They were all going to connect in a big way, like an episodic adventure, like you're watching a giant TV show unfold on screen. Kevin Feige's plan was Iron Man all the way up to Avengers Infinity War. And then going on, even more movies after that. He knows what he was doing. The problem with the DCEU is they didn't have a Kevin Feige. And I'm not saying they need a Kevin Feige. But if you have someone overseeing everything that's happening, it's good. It helps. But what you need, they needed a plan. They needed a structure idea of where they were going. And I guess we had that before. They showed Wonder Woman, Justice League, Part 1 and Part 2. We had Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps, Flash, Shazam, Aquaman. All these movies were going to get made. But we didn't know what the direction was going to be. From the first Avengers, we knew that something was going to be leading up to Thanos. And I'm not saying we have to see everything that's happening in the DCEU. We know it's Darkseid and Justice League, and that's fine. But they don't have a structured plan. They've changed so many dates around that it makes you question what is happening and what is going to be. Are we even going to be getting a Justice League Part 2 now? Is Shazam going to be part of the DCEU? Are we still going to get that Cyborg movie? The only confirmed movie right now they have in production is Aquaman. They finished Wonder Woman and they're starting to finish Justice League, and the only other one they have now is Aquaman. If this was Kevin Feige, and I don't want to say this because it's not fair to DC, but Marvel, they have a plan. Each year they know the date and the story they're going to tell, and they know that's what they're going to do. They're not going to change it based on fan reaction. Thor the Dark World, that was not a well-received movie. It's probably one of their weakest movies. Iron Man 3, one of their weakest movies. But those still connect to the overall story. We have the Ether and we have the Mandarin. These things still matter. What we're seeing in the DCEU is that we're only doing things based off the reaction of the audience. And how is that going to make a cohesive universe if everything is based off what other people say? Gotham City Sirens. This is not a movie that should be made. I respect people that like Suicide Squad. I will. I think Harley Quinn was a little over-sexualized, and I think that's all her character did in the movie. But I get that she was successful, and I get that why they'd want to make a movie of that, and I get why they'd want to make a Suicide Squad 2. But these aren't stories that need to be told. These aren't stories that you have to do, because how are they going to play into your bigger universe? Are we just going to have another side story inside your universe? I get that. You want to do that's fine, but you shouldn't be reactionary about it. Announce this right away. Make it sound like it's not a reaction plan because that's what the people liked in your movie. People liked Harley Quinn. Here comes a new Harley Quinn movie with a bunch of more females. You liked Batman and Batman v Superman. Here's a Batman movie. Have your plan figured out to begin with. And don't launch it with Justice League because that's a different way to start things, yes. And it's not the best way. You have to have a cohesive story in order to make it good. And another thing I think they need to work on is their directors. And yes, this is a little bit of an interesting topic because the director doesn't really have a say in these big movies sometimes. And that's the problem we got with Suicide Squad. David Ayer had a clear vision for this movie. But the studio interfered. Warner Brothers said, no, we have to do this. We have to set all this stuff up, make this happen. And if he got to tell the story he wanted to tell and have his direction and everything he wanted, I think it would have been a better movie. And I'm not saying... He makes good movies. He did Fury. Fury was a really good movie. He can direct. And so can Zack Snyder. I know. It's hard to say because Zack Snyder is a very divisive person. You like him or you hate him. I think Watchmen was really well done and really beautifully shot. I feel the same way about 300. I loved Man of Steel. I really loved it. I thought it was a really well done movie. It was a little dark for Superman. And that's another problem we'll talk about in a bit. But Batman v Superman, I didn't feel like it fit into what they were trying to tell with Man of Steel. And yeah, you can change things up, but it felt too dark. It didn't feel paced right. The story itself was different. And I know there's a lot that Zack Snyder can do. He's style over substance, and you need a good story in this. And we're going back to Marvel, and I don't like doing this. But you look at Marvel, James Gunn just blown everyone out of the park with Guardians of the Galaxy. The studio trusted him to make a movie that he could make, and it was incredibly well done. The Russo brothers, coming off of things like Arrested Development and Community, doing Captain America Civil War, doing Civil War and Winter Soldier. And now they're doing Infinity War. They showed that they can do this. Marvel trusted in these people. And now we have the same guy that did Batman v Superman, a film everybody thought was not shot well. It looked bad. Style over substance. Not enough plot. Not enough everything. They have this guy doing Justice League. And yes, Zack Snyder started this universe, but we don't need him anymore. He told his story. We shouldn't have Zack Snyder continuing. And I'm not being mean about Zack Snyder. He can't tell these stories. And he can't get these characters right. And that's another thing we'll talk about. Superman, the character, I thought was told really good in Man of Steel. They made the all-American boy believable in a modern time. In Batman v Superman, they made him a mopey little bitch who complains when he doesn't get what he wants, and I didn't like that. He tried to make people see things from his side. He didn't do that. And they did something really stupid in your second movie, and that is kill off one of your main leads. This is such a dumb move. And it makes no sense if he's just going to be back in Justice League. It was a pointless way to end it. And I like Superman. I think he's a good character. He's a character we need in today's society. He is DC's Captain America. And Captain America has these strong American beliefs. He has these strong values, and he's a great person. He's a human who will fight for those who need to be fought for. He will help anyone. Superman needs to be like that too. And we need to see this in his story. Every one of these characters has the same mood and same personality, and that is they're all Batman. And I know we haven't seen a lot from Wonder Woman or Aquaman or Cyborg, but I understand that they're trying to change this going forward in Justice League. And that's okay. You can do that. You can get that right. But you have to understand that Superman needs to be this one people gravitate to, because you can't have everybody wanting to be the Batman, because that's not these characters. They're all unique. They all have their own stories. They're all different characters, and they're not all Batman. And I just talk really quickly about this. I made a video talking about who should direct the Batman movie. A movie I think should not be made now because of everything we've seen with Ben Affleck. I'm not saying he's a bad Batman. He was a decent Batman. He's not my favorite Batman. But there's so much he should do not in his own movie yet. Because if we can't get this movie right, you're going to lose every stronghold the last of the fans had on you. You lost Ben Affleck as your director. Your one saving grace so far. You have Matt Reeves in talk, a great replacement. Now he dropped out. Ben Affleck's script is gone. We doing a page 1 rewrite of this script. Stop trying to make Batman happen. It's not going to happen. You can't get this right. Please stop trying. Please focus your efforts on making The Flash work. Please focus it on Green Lantern Corps. Please do it something else because people liked Batman. You need to make Batman happen. Don't. Focus it on a new Superman movie. Bring that character back into the front. Make him a unique, fun guy again. Give us that thing we need in Superman. The American boy, the hero, the guy we love to care for. We need that back. We don't need a Batman movie if you can't get Batman right. And you haven't got Batman right yet. And you lost everybody working on this movie and you're doing a page 1 rewrite. You can't keep trying this. You can keep Joe What's-His-Face as Deathstroke. Put him in Suicide Squad 2. And then focus your attention on Suicide Squad 2 and don't get Mel Gibson to direct. Because he's crazy. And that's another thing. He's just crazy. I don't like Mel Gibson. That doesn't matter for this. So let's just go. I want to talk now about something else, and that is why Wonder Woman needs to be good. This is the first time we are getting a huge blockbuster like this with a female-led character. Yes, we've had Catwoman with Halle Berry. We've had Supergirl in the 80s, but this is the first time we're getting the big treatment, something huge, massive, a huge thing like this. Gal Gadot, I think, is an alright actress. I don't think she's proven herself yet to be this strong Wonder Woman character. And everything I've heard makes me worried about this movie. I want to like Wonder Woman. I love the character of Wonder Woman. I love her to death. I love everything about her character and what she represents. I love the idea of the Amazons. I love the idea of Steve Trevor and Ares and Cheetah and all her bad guys. I love all of those ideas. But there comes a time when you have to tell the story that needs to be told. And if everything we heard is true about all the backseat problems and how this movie is just like the other ones where there's too much going on at once and it's a mess, this is not a good sign for female directors because we have Patty Jenkins doing this movie. A big blockbuster like this with a female director and a female-led superhero, if this fails, if it's not cohesive, if it's another mess, we're not going to have this again. Yes, Marvel will do Captain Marvel. If that fails, we'll never get another one. And Captain Marvel can't be the only saving grace for female directors and female superheroes. We need more than that. And I want to see that happen. If this movie is a mess, and I walk out of Wonder Woman thinking, they can't get anything right. They had their chance with Batman. They had their chance with Superman. They had their chance with Harley Quinn, Joker, Will Smith. They had their chances with all of these good actors and characters. And they can't get this right, and they can't get the one thing they need to get right in Wonder Woman. They can't get this character right. They can't make this one movie that has to be good for the sake of female-led superhero movies everywhere, for the sake of female directors on these big blockbusters. For that sake, if they can't get this right, I am not going to see Justice League. And I'm putting that out there now. If Wonder Woman is a terrible movie, if I walked it out feeling like this is bad, I'm done with DC. And I don't want to be done with DC. I want them to get their shit together. I want them to figure out how to make these stories work. And then these talks about Ben Affleck dropping out as Batman. That's not what you want to hear. When your universe is divisive enough as it is, and everything that everyone said is, it's a mess. It's not cohesive. Your stories don't make sense. You have some good characters. Your shoulders are riding on Wonder Woman and Justice League. And who knows? Maybe after these movies, we're on course because we got the Jeff Johns in here or something. Maybe Aquaman will be the first movie everyone agrees on that this is a good movie. But I really hope we can get it done before that. And that's my problem with DC is they don't know what they're doing. They're reactionary. They're making bad choices with their directors and studio interference. Their movies are a mess because they're trying to play catch up to Marvel. But what you need to do is set up your universe. That's all you have to do. You have a plan through and through. You lead up to Darkseid, to Apocalypse. We can have a new Gods movie. I don't care. You have to set up your universe slowly, patiently, and the fans will enjoy it. The critics will enjoy it. And you could beat Marvel. Because Superman is better than Captain America. Batman is better than Iron Man. Aquaman is better than Thor. Wonder Woman is better than all of them. And The Flash is better than Spider-Man. Your characters are good, DC. They're good. You tell good stories. You have to get it right. Or no one is going to see your movies. Because they're just a problem. And I'm sorry if you didn't like this video. This is just something I wanted to talk about with all these new rumors of the Batman and the Flash and all these things. It's just something I wanted to bring up. And that's my problem with DC. And if you don't have the problem with DC, that's okay. Everyone's different. But those are just my concerns and my problems with it. So thank you for listening, and good luck.